Welcome to Voyage Daily Tech, the most important news personalized for you every day, supported by Voyage.com.
After listening to today's news, you'll know. First, Blackstone and Anthropic's AI partnership threatens to disrupt the enterprise software market, sparking a SaaSpocalypse for PE giants. We'll analyze why this aggressive AI rollout is a turning point and how it could affect competitive dynamics for software investors. Second, Mastercard's new Agentic commerce platform lets AI make purchases for you, aiming to transform online retail and digital advertising. We'll explore how this autonomous shopping technology could transform industry practices and what it means for consumer trust and security. Third, Palantir's 137% US commercial revenue surge shows its military-grade AI is conquering the enterprise market while becoming critical in the Middle East. In this episode, we'll break down this military to commercial flywheel and what it signals for the adoption of high-stakes AI in the private sector. Fourth, AI data centers are blamed for a 36% surge in electricity bills, forcing giants like Microsoft to promise they'll cover the costs. This discussion will reveal how this power crisis connects to flawed energy market rules and what it means for the future of tech infrastructure. Fifth, Rivian's make-or-break R2 SUV launches at a high price, a risky bet to survive its massive cash burn and compete with Tesla. We'll analyze why this premium first launch is a critical turning point and how it could affect the company's survival in a cooling EV market. Perhaps the most disruptive story in the software world today is how the very industry that built it might be about to tear it all down. A while back, we called the first wave Software Armageddon after Mistral's CEO warned that more than half of enterprise software could be replaced, and Klarna scrapped roughly 1,200 SaaS tools for its own AI platform. Today's twist is the same pressure, but routed through private equity and scaled. Private equity giant Blackstone is reportedly in talks with AI company Anthropic to form a powerful joint venture. The plan is to embed AI, like their model Claude, directly into hundreds of Blackstone-owned companies in manufacturing, healthcare, and finance. We previously analysed companies dabbling with AI pilots. This is different. It's portfolio-wide with a mandate. You have to understand, this isn't just about giving companies access to a chatbot. The model they're following is similar in spirit to what the secretive company Palantir does with governments. It's about deep integration. While Palantir embeds what they call forward-deployed engineers to build custom solutions on site, this venture aims to do something similar for a huge, diverse commercial portfolio. It combines Anthropic's powerful AI models with Blackstone's authority to force adoption across its companies. For Blackstone, the math is simple. This could slash costs across the board. And as we flagged a while back, private credit exposure to software has ballooned. Some major portfolios now have double-digit shares tied to software. So the incentive to wring out costs and de-risk revenue dependencies is intense. This is where the situation takes a more complex turn. The move poses a direct threat to the software companies owned by other private equity firms. We're talking about software-focused giants like Toma, Bravo, and Vista Equity Partners, whose entire business model based on recurring revenue is now in the crosshairs. Continuing our last discussion about that trillion plus in software market cap that vanished in a single week, this kind of forced AI rollout could accelerate the pressure on incumbents even further. This is the forcing function for what some are calling the SaaSpocalypse. AI tools can now approximate project management, analytics, dashboards, and even HR software, making expensive subscriptions obsolete. And remember, we've already seen the playbook in miniature. Klarna ripped out a huge stack of tools. So what's new here is the speed and scale a PE owner can impose across dozens or hundreds of businesses at once. However, if you zoom out, you'll see another layer of complexity at play. Ripping out specialized, battle-tested software and replacing it with custom AI isn't as easy as flipping a switch. There are massive hidden complexities. For one, security. As we've said before, these systems are insecure by default. Research shows that AI-generated code can have a significantly higher rate of security vulnerabilities than human written code. Then you have the risk of prompt injection attacks, where bad actors can trick the AI into leaking sensitive data. It's a huge technical and security hurdle to overcome. That's why you need a real kill switch, not an on-off button, but circuit breakers and feature flags so humans can selectively shut down behaviors when things go sideways. The rabbit hole goes deeper. A technology replacement cycle that might have taken 5 years through normal adoption could now compress to just 18 months inside a private equity portfolio because these firms have the authority and incentive to move fast. It's the wartime, not peacetime posture we talked about, and it collides with another reality we flagged a while back. Despite the FOMO, most generative AI projects stall. One study we cited found the vast majority never make it past pilot because they're poorly integrated into real workflows. When they do ship, the bigger danger isn't flashy breaches, it's quiet failure. Think of that out route of distribution snafu we discussed, where an AI misread new holiday labels and triggered massive overproduction for weeks before anyone noticed. And of course, we also have to think about the human cost. For the employees inside these companies, this isn't an abstract financial move, it's a whiplash. Imagine your familiar tools, the ones you've used for years, being replaced overnight by a top-down mandate with an unproven, custom-built AI app. This can lead to massive resistance, a huge training burden, and a serious hit to morale and productivity. That's where the human on the loop we talked about becomes critical, dedicated operators who monitor, intervene, and keep these fragile systems on the rails. And Wall Street has already made its choice clear. When Atlassian cut a tenth of its workforce to fund AI investment, its stock rose. When Block shares jumped 17% after announcing thousands of AI-related job cuts, the message was unmistakable. The market is rewarding companies that shrink in the name of AI, not those defending the old model. It's the same playbook we saw during Software Armageddon: punish hesitation, reward aggressive pivots. This creates an impossible paradox for software-focused investors. Thoma Bravo's Orlando Bravo has publicly argued that AI is a tailwind, making software products more valuable. But now his firm faces a dilemma. Push AI and accelerate your own disruption, or don't push it and get cut out of the picture by diversified firms like Blackstone. Now get this, these firms aren't just waiting around, they're fighting back. Thoma Bravo, for example, has been acquiring AI-driven companies like Verint and Dayforce to bake AI capabilities directly into its own software portfolio. Vista Equity Partners is even running internal AI hackathons to spark innovation from within. They are actively trying to preempt this disruption. When we place this aggressive private equity-driven model alongside what's happening elsewhere, the contrast is stark. This approach is uniquely American. In Europe, they're pursuing what's called sovereign AI, with governments directly investing in champions like France's Mistral AI to build their own capabilities and avoid this exact kind of market concentration. But the very investors who drove the last major wave of tech adoption are now inverting the dynamic. Private equity built the software as a service empire. It may also be the one that rips it out. Speaking of AI shaking up established industries, it's now coming for the way you shop online. Your next purchase might be made by an AI that doesn't just recommend products. It will choose them, buy them, and ship them for you. A top executive at Mastercard is calling this one of the biggest retail transformations we will ever see. It's a new technology called Agentic commerce, and it's designed to fundamentally change who initiates a purchase and how decisions are made. So the thing is, Mastercard is strategically positioning itself to be the central hub in this new world of AI shopping. By creating the rules and the payment system, they're essentially building a new kind of digital marketplace, what some in the tech world call a walled garden, where they can be the gatekeeper between your shopping intent and the merchant who makes the sale. Here's how it works. Instead of scrolling and comparing, you just tell your AI agent an intent, like find me the best running shoes for winter, or I need a birthday gift under 50 pounds. The AI then does all the work, finding the item, using your payment details, and arranging delivery. Now, you might be thinking, isn't this just a fancier version of Amazon's Subscribe and Save? The key difference is autonomy. Subscribe and Save automates a purchase you've already set up. Agentic commerce gives the AI the power to interpret a new request and make a decision from scratch without your direct input on the final product. But this all begs the question, in an age of rampant online fraud, would you actually trust an AI with your credit card? A global survey found 76% of consumers are more concerned about cybersecurity risks than they were 2 years ago, with 59% agreeing that getting scammed is simply inevitable. Mastercard says it has a plan, creating a system where every AI agent must be registered and follow a strict set of rules. Their plan involves something called agentic tokens, which are critical for building trust. Instead of your raw credit card number flying around the internet, the AI uses a special one-time use token for the transaction. This token is cryptographically secure and proves the AI agent is registered and verified. They claim the user will always be in control, but that's not the whole picture. The real turning point is what comes next. The initial phase will require you to approve each purchase, But the next step is for agents to operate on preset instructions, executing purchases without any direct user involvement. They're calling this empathy at scale, an AI that learns your preferences, your brand loyalty, and even your personal values to make decisions for you. This is where it gets interesting. Who audits this empathy? If an AI is making decisions for you, how do you know it's not being influenced by hidden commissions or special promotional deals from retailers? Legal experts are already debating whether these AI agents should have a fiduciary duty to you, meaning a legal obligation to act solely in your best interest, just like a financial advisor. Without that, the agent might serve its creators more than it serves you. Forget just changing how we pay for things. This is poised to completely upend the multi-billion-dollar digital advertising industry. Think about it. If an AI is buying based on objective facts like price, specs, and reviews, what happens to all the ads and influencer posts designed to appeal to human emotion? The new game isn't search engine optimization or SEO. It's becoming what experts call answer engine optimization, where brands have to figure out how to market directly to the machines. A Mastercard executive says we are facing a new technology moving at a speed we have never seen before, one that redefines the very act of shopping itself by putting an autonomous agent in the driver's seat. From the trust required for an AI to buy your groceries, we now turn to the level of trust needed for AI on the battlefield. The CEO of a major US tech company just went public with a blunt assessment of Iran's strategy. They're evil, they're not stupid. That company is Palantir, and its CEO, Alex Karp, is making it clear that artificial intelligence is the new frontline in the Middle East. After recent attacks on Amazon data centers, Karp claims Palantir's technology is the essential nervous system for the US and its allies. The reason attacks on commercial data centers are so significant is that these facilities are what's known as dual-use infrastructure. They host everything from your family photos to critical government and military data. While these massive data centers have fortress-like physical security, we're talking barriers, biometric access, and constant surveillance, their dual-use nature makes them a legal grey area in conflict. International law is struggling to keep up, questioning whether a civilian facility becomes a legitimate military target when it supports a nation's war effort. He says when partners are attacked and need to coordinate a response, there's only one product that can actually do that for security, referring to his company's platform. Now, that's a bold claim. The core challenge in any allied military operation is something called interoperability. Imagine trying to get computer systems from the US, Israel, and other partner nations, all with different data formats and security protocols, to talk to each other in real time during a crisis. It's a technical nightmare. What Karp is saying is that Palantir's platforms, like Gotham and Foundry, are designed specifically to solve this problem by creating a universal layer where all this disparate data can be integrated and analyzed at once. While competitors like Anduril and Raytheon are also tackling this, Palantir's pitch is that they are the established masters of this complex data fusion. This isn't just talk. Palantir's Project Maven is a real-time AI surveillance platform that has become a significant component of US involvement in the region, according to public reports Karp referenced. He added that Palantir's user base among allies in the Middle East is expanding rapidly. The core conflict is now a battle over digital infrastructure, with AI providing what Karp calls a critical edge. Believe it or not, while its defense tech makes headlines, Palantir's US commercial revenue just exploded, jumping a staggering 137% in the fourth quarter. The company's stock is up 12% this month, even as the Nasdaq has fallen. This is all happening because Palantir is leveraging what's called a military to commercial flywheel. The same AI tools that were battle tested in high stakes defense scenarios are now being pitched to the corporate world for things like optimizing supply chains or managing financial risk. The company runs intensive boot camps for potential clients, and the strategy is working. According to recent reports, their US commercial customer count grew by over 80% year over year, proving that the prestige of military-grade tech has massive appeal in the private sector. This all comes back to the CEO's core belief. Karp states plainly, what makes America special right now is our lethal capabilities, our ability to fight war, and that the AI revolution is uniquely American. To frame the AI revolution as uniquely American is a powerful statement, but it overlooks the intense competition happening worldwide. The AI arms race is truly global. While the US has programs like Project Maven, it's far from alone. China is aggressively pursuing a military-civil fusion strategy to integrate AI into its armed forces. Israel's famed unit, 8,200, has developed AI systems that can reportedly generate hundreds of targets a day, a task that used to take a year. So, this claim overlooks intense global competition. Palantir is now operating in two worlds simultaneously. It is positioning itself as an indispensable tool in modern warfare, while also achieving explosive growth in the corporate sector. We just covered the security implications of data centers in conflict zones, but there's another crisis brewing around them: their massive appetite for electricity. Your residential electricity bill has likely surged over 36% since 2020, and a huge part of the blame is being placed on the artificial intelligence boom. Across the country, communities are pushing back against the massive data centers being built by so-called AI hyperscalers like Google, Amazon, and Microsoft, worried these power-hungry facilities are straining local grids and raising costs for everyone. A while back, we broke down how this backlash looks overseas. Ireland hit a point where data centers were consuming about 22% of the entire national power supply and even paused new grid connections. That pushed operators to go islanded, building private microgrids just to keep projects moving. And the projections are mind-boggling. The Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory estimates that data center energy use, which was already huge, could nearly triple by 2028. We previously explained why this surge feels so sharp. These facilities gulp 10 to 50 times more power per square foot than a typical office. So the growth curve hits grids like a tidal wave. What really brought this to a head was the next development. A new report claims it's not just the data centers. Obscure market rules and flawed energy forecasts are a massive part of the problem, with one regional grid operator allegedly overestimating future demand and driving up prices for millions. Continuing our last discussion about who ultimately foots the bill once private power ties back into public networks, the twist today is that market design itself can amplify or mute those costs. The situation presents a fascinating duality. The way your power grid is designed makes a huge difference. For instance, the grid operator in question, PJM, which serves over 67 million people in 13 eastern states, uses what's called a capacity market. They essentially pay power plants just to be available, whether they produce electricity or not, to guarantee supply. The cost of that guarantee is spread across all consumers. This is totally different from a grid, like the one in Texas, which uses an energy-only market that relies on real-time prices. PJM's model, designed for stability, can pass the massive future costs of building power plants for data centers directly onto your bill. In fact, PJM's own recent capacity auction fell short of its reliability needs for the first time ever, largely because its proprietary forecasting models couldn't keep up with the explosive demand from data centers. As we warned a while back, when the system socializes big build-outs, ratepayers can end up fronting infrastructure that primarily serves clustered data center demand. The public backlash has become so intense that tech companies are now scrambling to control the narrative. In a major strategic pivot, Microsoft and Anthropic have made a stunning pledge to cover any additional electricity costs that result from their own data centers. Even Donald Trump has summoned AI executives to affirm a ratepayer protection pledge, ensuring these costs are not passed on to American consumers. We previously analysed this shift towards self-supply operators, promising to fund their own power needs so they can build faster and keep regulators at bay. So what does this ratepayer protection pledge actually mean? It's not just a simple rebate. The pledge commits these tech giants to directly fund or build the new power generation and grid infrastructure their data centers require. We're talking about a potential shift of over $100 billion in capital from consumers to corporate balance sheets. But here's the catch. Some industry insiders are calling it meaningless theatre, arguing that data centers have historically paid for their own power anyway, and this is just a PR move to get building permits approved faster. And as we noted in Ireland's islanded example, a lot of the near-term private power is still natural gas, with promises to go greener later, raising real questions about greenwashing against public carbon-free pledges. Interestingly enough, an industry expert just dropped a comment that questions this entire strategy. A research director at Counterpoint Research stated, "The problem is the industry is not making money, so that puts even more pressure on them." That pressure is one reason a new class of investors has piled in. As we discussed a while back, Infrastructure funds are using a build-own-operate model to finance private microgrids and sell power to data centers on long-term contracts, an entire asset class forming just to supply private power to tech. If margins stay tight, even that model gets stress tested. This is not just a local issue, it's a global power crisis in the making. The average wait time for a new data center to even connect to the power grid is already 4 to 6 years, and in a city like Tokyo, it's up to a decade. We've seen the workaround accelerate in the US. About 30% of new data centers are already using off-grid solutions, and in Europe, that share has quadrupled in just the last 18 months. And remember, many of these islanded sites plan to eventually tie into the national grid as virtual power plants selling excess power back. When they do, the costs and complexities don't vanish. They flow back onto the public system and potentially onto ratepayers. This power bottleneck is sparking a new kind of global competition. Countries are now racing to upgrade their grids to attract AI investment. Actually, tech giants themselves are now becoming energy players. Amazon is investing in a facility to house up to 12 small modular nuclear reactors, or SMRs, to power its data centers. Google is doing something similar. They aren't waiting for the grid anymore. They are trying to build their own. As we've seen with private microgrids, that can speed timelines, but it also puts a spotlight on the fuel mix today versus the clean energy promises for tomorrow. The AI giants are now caught in a high-stakes battle. They are making massive financial promises to quiet public anger and avoid strict government regulation, but with experts questioning their profitability, the entire industry is gambling on a solution it may not be able to afford. Speaking of immense financial pressure, another tech-forward company is in a desperate fight for survival, but this time in the electric vehicle market. Rivian just unveiled its make-or-break vehicle, the R2 SUV, touting a game-changing $45,000 price tag. But the catch is that affordable model won't be available until late 2027. If you want one at launch, you'll be paying for a special edition performance model starting at nearly $58,000. This single decision reveals everything about the high-wire act Rivian is performing. It's a classic premium-first approach, the exact same playbook Tesla used for the Model 3. The idea is to launch with a high-margin, high-spec version to build brand prestige and, more importantly, generate cash to fund the cheaper models later. But here's the risk. When Tesla did this, the EV market was wide open. Today, Rivian is walking into a crowded field, making this a much bigger gamble. The company's in a desperate fight for survival after losing billions, including nearly $2.1 billion in adjusted pre-tax losses just last year, and the numbers behind that are staggering. In 2024 alone, Rivian burned through $8.1 billion in free cash flow. At that rate, analysts project the company could burn through all its cash reserves in under 2 years. Founder and CEO RJ Scaring has promised investors that the R2 is the turning point, the vehicle that will finally make the company profitable and a scaled auto manufacturer. The R2 is built on what Rivian calls its third-generation electrical architecture, and it's a masterclass in cost-cutting. They've managed to remove 2.3 miles of wiring from the car, reducing its weight by 44 pounds. They also slashed the number of complex computer brains, or electronic control units, from 17 down to just 7. This simplifies everything, making the R2 faster and cheaper to build. However, the R2 is being launched directly into the territory of the undisputed king of EVs, the Tesla Model Y. While the R2 boasts impressive stats like 656 horsepower, the Model Y is already a global bestseller, starts at a lower price point around $40,000, and already offers many of the advanced driving technologies Rivian is still trying to accomplish. Rivian is also trying a very different and very risky strategy with its tech. For its Autonomy Plus system, instead of a monthly subscription like Tesla's, which costs around $99, Rivian is offering lifetime access for a one-time fee of $2,500. This sounds great for the consumer, but it's a huge financial liability for Rivian, which has to support that software for the entire life of the car without any more revenue. What's more, this high-stakes launch is happening in the worst possible environment. The overall EV market is cooling, with other automakers pulling back plans. To make matters worse, the $7,500 federal tax credit for these vehicles has expired. The reason it expired is due to strict new rules in the Inflation Reduction Act about where battery parts and minerals come from. This is crucial because competitors like Hyundai and Kia are racing to build US factories to get those credits back for their cars, putting Rivian at an even bigger price disadvantage. Analysts are openly questioning if the demand will even be there, with one from Barclays citing increasing uncertainty on R2's volume outlook in a period of weak US EV demand. Rivian is betting its entire future on a high-performance, high-priced vehicle to save the company, but it's launching years behind on its affordable promise into a cooling market and directly against a cheaper, globally dominant rival that already won the race to scale.
That's it for today on Voyage Daily Tech. Follow, share, and stay tuned for daily updates coming your way tomorrow.